circle our way through. So you'll notice I make him take a step, and then I step in, and my head moves across. Just make a strong base line. So what I want to do is I want to fall across his legs to the greatest degree possible. So I just throw my leg through this way, and I fall across his body. I don't want to land here. I want to land out here. And this is what makes it easy for my leg to come up into a good position. So watch my head. My head does not go straight backwards in a straight line. Rather, I fall towards this foot. So once I come in here, my head falls this way. That's what makes him take the big step. Then when my legs come up, they go easily into the ashigarami position. So putting all this together, training partner comes out. He makes his grip and we make our grip, fixing up that seam that runs down the back of every sleeve. We get a hold of our training partner's lapel. We make him take a big step so that his feet start to come apart. We circle and pull. Now we're side on. We step in 1, 2. 1, 2. Then we fall over to the side, and we're right there in that perfect ashigarami. When I say it's perfect, I mean his balance is broken forward and his hand is on the mat. That's how you know you've done a good job of breaking your opponent's balance. So once again, with my back to the camera, watch Brian's left hand. He's currently gripped up to me. When we step in, you'll see his left hand has to go to the mat for balance. That's what we're looking for. Now, as he fights to regain balance, that's when he gets distracted and easily taken over. So putting all this in a context. So ready? First come out to grip with each other. As we start off the grip fight battle, we go through, we get our first grip in place like so. Now we fight to get our second grip. And then it's always about that movement, get some stepping. Then we just step in 1, 2, and there's that good ashigarami connection, and then a knockdown to the mat. Immediately we go to stand up, gripping in like so. As he goes up, he finds himself compromised. Worst case scenario, you get the ashigarami but can't get top position, no problem, you're an open guard. So once we get this guy stepping, when we step to the ashigarami, if I should try to knock him down and fail, no problem. Well, we're back in open guard and we're ready to play from there, as we'll see later on in this video. So this is a very practical and simple way to get a good result from open guard, from ashigarami, pulling from standing position. Now, we're looking at the skill of working from bottom position for older, less athletic players when we're working with a gi on. The first skill we need to be able to do is to draw someone from a standing position down to the ground. What we're trying to do in this video is give you a set of methods of pulling the fight down to the ground that take no athleticism, very low risk, very low impact, very easy on your body, aren't going to hurt you or your training partner, but which nonetheless give you a pretty good result. They give you an honest chance at actually sweeping your opponent off the guard pole. Okay, if we can't sweep our opponent, then we end up in open guard, we'll play from there, that's fine. But they do give you an honest chance at actually pulling them and then immediately sweeping them and getting top position. So we just looked at the idea of pulling into ashigarami. Now let's look at a closely related technique, pulling into X guard. Okay, when we go to pull into X guard, typically I'll do this off a one-handed grip. Okay, normally for pulling ashigarami, we'll typically go two-handed grips. For this one, we'll go with a one-handed grip. I like to take a cross grip on my training partner, just like so. It doesn't have to be a particularly high grip, but just goes in around the front deltoid area, just like so. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to come out towards our training partner. We're going to start a hand fight upstairs like so. From the hand fight, we're going to go straight in. We're just going to go in and lock. Okay, now the good news is, taking cross grips is generally much easier than taking straight grips because the fingers penetrate straight through right from the start. When you go for straight grips, your fingers have to fight to go in to get the lapel. Cross gripping is typically much easier because the fingers go straight in and get your grips. Okay, so once again, start up in front of our training partner. We start off with a basic grip fight. We fight our way in and get our first grip. Now, we're going to start by pulling our training partner's leg forward and squaring this guy up. I'm going to step my foot just inside his foot. As I do this, my second hand is going to reach here inside my training partner's leg. I just take the back of my hand and I touch the inside of his knee. So my foot steps and the back of my hand goes in. Now I'm going to baseball slide towards my own foot. And as a result, I can make this guy take a step and force his hands to the mat. You already have your grip with your hands. Now our foot goes into place. We find ourselves in the classic X guard. Brian, if you could just stand up for a second. Classic X guard. Your foot is right there by the hip, other foot behind the knee. You still have a hold on your training partner's lapel like so. So when he tries to posture up, it's exceptionally difficult for him to even take his foot off the mat. Okay, so he's completely unstable in this position. As he goes to fight for his balance and work his way back up, it's the easiest thing for us to trip this guy down to the mat and end up on top. So once again, we'll get that forwards-backwards reaction. It sets up an immediate reversal. From the standing position, as we come out with our training partner, we fire our hand in and start the action of pulling this guy around the corner. Now from here, I step my foot just inside my training partner's foot, and the back of my hand goes just inside my training partner's knee. When I fall, I don't fall straight back. Again, I fall across his body. So the fall is one out here to the side that forces his hands down to the mat. And as a result, our feet go quite easily into good attacking position. As this guy fights his way back up to the feet, he gets easily destabilized to the back. And as a result, we end up on top in great position to attack. We're starting to see some common themes here. The idea that when we fall, we don't want to fall straight back in straight lines. Rather, we want to fall across the body. And this is where we want to go in, with your foot on the inside of his legs. The other big theme, when we fall in these positions, we want to get his hands down to the mat, okay, as soon as possible. So let's have a look at all this again. From a standing start, we come out with our training partner and we see an opportunity to fire that initial hand in. I step and make him take a step. Now I step inside his legs, and we scoop grip and make that guy take the big step that off balances him. From this position, our legs go right up into place. As he goes to fight my hands off, my foot goes from his knee down to his ankle. And as I lose my left hand, he loses his balance. And from here, we're in the perfect position to get up on top. From another angle, we start off in front of our training partner. We fire the first hand in, and we start moving this guy. From this position, we just step all the way inside and knock this guy straight down to the mat. Feet go in. As he fights off the grip, we come up on top and looking good. So this is a very practical way to take it effortlessly down to the ground with minimum fuss and bother that can actually get you a very good result. Again, as we said earlier, if you don't get the optimal result and your opponent gets pulled down to X guard but you cannot knock him over, it's still not a bad thing. You just end up in an open guard. So worst case scenario, I sit down into X guard and I try to sweep him, fail, we're still in X guard. We're still in a pretty good position to work here. Okay, and from here we can play all our usual tricks from X guard to get this guy off balance in various kinds of ways. So worst case scenario, you don't get top position, you successfully pull your opponent down to the bottom position and you can work from open guard. We're going through the idea of pulling our opponent down to the ground so that we end up in bottom position, pulling to guard, and getting something out of it. The key themes that we're looking at, we want a method of pulling an opponent down from the standing position to the ground, which is very low impact. You don't want something where you jump in on people where you could injure the other person or injure yourself. It has to be low impact. It has to be relatively simple technically, because we're assuming our motivation for pulling guard is that the other guy's better than us in the standing position. So presumably he's better at gripping, he's got better throws, better takedowns, etc., better stance overall. So we want something we can get to your grips and quickly and easily pull him down to the ground. And we're looking for a bonus element too, the idea that we get some kind of off balancing where you break your opponent's stance, force him to put a hand on the mat, and because his stance and balance has been broken, you're going to get a momentary chance to attack right off the guard pull, where you might get a sweep, a reversal, or even a submission as your opponent tries to recover balance. Worst case scenario, the guy recovers his balance and you find yourself now in open guard, and then you're ready to use all the techniques that we'll be looking throughout the rest of this video. But initially we want a safe, efficient way to just drag someone down to the ground and get off to a good start. Now, another good way for us to do this is to pull our opponent into a double elevator. The double elevator method is highly effective in competitive situations. However, it is a little ugly and scrappy looking compared with the two methods we've looked at so far.